greeting to all of you.
Good morning.
So Mirjana says, I would like to try to explain to you everything that has been happening here in Medjugorje. Maybe the best way would be to start from the beginning. To try to explain how everything started. Then the most important messages. And then you go on and ask whatever you may be interested in. So we will go 32 years backward. June the 24th, St. John the Baptist feast day, the day when nobody worked in the village. Ivanka and me, two girls who were 14 and 15 years old, wanted to be alone for a while. We went outside of the village and we took a walk along the foot of what we call the apparition hill today. We were talking about normal things. In one moment, Ivanka told me, I think that Our Lady is on the hill. Just like that. I didn't look. For me, that was impossible. Without even turning to look, Mirjana says, I replied to Ivanka, yeah, Our Lady has nothing else to do and she would come to two of us. So I left her standing there and I intended to go back to the village. But as I was reaching the first houses of the village, deep within myself I felt a call that I simply had to go back. When I came back, I saw Ivanka on the same spot. And she told me, look now, please. And among the rocks and bushes, I was able to see a woman in a long dress holding infant baby in her arms. Everything was very strange. Because nobody climbed the hills. There was not even this path that we have today that was made by the pilgrim's feet. And then now to imagine a woman in such a long dress with an infant baby in the arms to go to that kind of hill. I was just gazing. And in the same moment, I felt all possible emotions at the same time. Fear, beauty, misunderstanding. I didn't know if I were alive or dead. What prevailed within me was simply to run away. And I ran away back home. And I said to my grandma that I think that I saw Our Lady. She told me, you'd better take the rosary, go to your room and pray to dear God, and let Our Lady be where she is. I didn't have strength to debate with her, because I wanted to be alone in prayer. Because only that way I was able to have peace. The next day, like every other day before, I was helping my uncles. I did not have a chance to see other visionaries. But around the same time when I saw Our Lady the day before, I felt the same call within myself. And I said to my uncles that I have to go back to the base of the hill. There was something calling me. They came along with me in order to see what was happening. Reaching the base of the hill, practically half of the village was already there. Because with every visionary, somebody from the family came along. And we saw Our Lady on the same spot. But this time she did not have baby in her arms. So that day, June the 25th, was in fact the first day when we approached Our Lady. She presented herself to us. She said, my children, be not afraid. I am the Queen of Peace. And that is how our daily apparition started.
Vrlo kratko smo imali ukazanje na brdu.
Very shortly, we were having apparitions on the hill.
Jer ko što sam im rekla već, to je bilo vrijeme Jugoslavije, vrijeme komunizma, odmah je došla policija sa psima i opkolila brdo.
Because as I already told you, that was time of ex-Yugoslavia communism, and immediately police came with the dogs and they occupied the hills.
Ali tih prvi, ko bi išao na brdo, išao bi u zatvor.
And whoever would try to climb the hill would end up in prison.
Ali ti prvi dana Gospa je pokazala nekoliko čuda.
But those first days, Our Lady presented a few miracles,
Tako da je skoro svaki sela nešto vidio.
so that everybody from the village was able to see something.
Na primjer, pisalo je na nebu mir.
For example, in the middle of the sky, you could see the word mir, which means peace, written.
To su vidjeli mještani.
Villagers were able to see that.
Onda je nestajao križ na križaci, pojavila se Gospa odjevena u bijelo.
Then cross on the cross hill would disappear, and Our Lady dressed in white would appear.
I to su isto vidjeli.
They saw that as well.
Onda su bila dva ozdravljenja.
Then there were two miraculous physical healings.
I mještani videći to sve, poznavajući nas kao djecu, oni su nam povjerovali i pomagali.
So villagers seeing all of this and knowing us as children, they believed us and they were helping us.
Mi smo imali svako večer ukazanje na drugom mjestu.
Therefore, every night we would have apparition on a different spot,
Tako da se nikad ne zna prije gdje smo.
so that no one would know ahead of time where we would be.
Ja sam imala tako ukazanje sve do Božića 82. godine.
Such daily apparitions I had all the way until the Christmas of 1982.
Tad sam dobila 10. tajnu.
That is when I received the 10th
I
secret.
Gospa mi je rekla da izaberem svećenika kome ću reći tajnu.
And Our Lady asked for me to choose a priest to whom I will reveal the secrets.
Trebam reći njemu 10 dana prije šta će se desiti gdje.
I am supposed to say to that priest 10 days in advance what will happen and where.
7 dana ćemo provesti u postu i molitvi.
We will spend 7 days in prayer and fasting.
A 3 dana prije on treba reći svima.
And 3 days ahead of time he is supposed to say to everybody.
On nema pravo izbora da li će reći ili ne reći.
That priest doesn't have a right to choose whether to say or not to say.
Ako prihvati tu misiju, onda treba činiti kako je Božja volja.
Because if he accepts that mission, he has to do it according to God's will.
Gospa uvijek kaže nemojte govoriti o tajnama.
But Our Lady always says, do not talk about secrets.
Molite.
Pray.
Jer ko osjeća mene kao majku, a Boga kao svoga oca, nema straha ni od čega.
Because one who feels me as mother and God as father, that person has no fear of anything.
Ona kaže da strah imaju samo oni koji još nisu upoznali ljubav Božju.
Our Lady says, only those who have not come to know the love of God yet, those people have fear.
Gospa je rekla, ono što sam počela u Fatimi, ja ću završiti u Medjugorju.
Our Lady said, what I started in Fatima, I will accomplish, finish in Medjugorje.
Moje će srce pobijediti.
My heart will triumph.
Ako će srce naše nebeske majke pobijediti, onda čega se trebamo bojati.
And then if our Heavenly Mother's heart will triumph, then simply what to fear.
Kad je bilo to ukazanje za Božić 82. godine, ona mi je rekla da ja više neću imati svakodnevno ukazanje.
When that apparition on Christmas 1982 happened, Our Lady said to me that I was not to have her daily apparitions anymore,
Rekla je da će to biti jedan put godišnji i svakog 18. marta dok sam živa.
but that it would be only once a year on every March the 18th as long as I live.
A isto tako je rekla da ću imati i izvanredno ukazanje.
But she also said that I will have some extraordinary apparitions.
Ta su ukazanja počela 2. augusta 87. godine i traju dan danas.
And those apparitions started on August the 2nd, 1987, and still have been lasting on every second of the month.
I ta su ukazanja i molitva za nevjernike.
And those apparitions are also prayer for unbelievers.
Gospa nikad ne kaže nevjernik.
But Our Lady never uses that term, unbeliever.
Jer ti kad kažeš za nekoga da je nevjernik, ti si ga osudio, dao si svoj sud.
Because when you say that someone is unbeliever, you judge that person, you give your judgment.
A Gospa nikad ne sudi.
But Our Lady never judges.
Ona uvijek kaže oni koji još nisu osjetili ljubav Božju.
Referring to them, she always says, those who have not come to know the love of God yet.
I ona traži našu pomoć.
And Our Lady is asking our help.
Kad kaže našu, ona ne misli samo na nas 6 vidioca.
When Our Lady says our help, she doesn't mean only 6 visionaries,
Ona misli na pomoć svi oni koji osjećaju nju kao svoju majku.
but help of all those people who feel her as mother.
Jer ona kaže da mi možemo promijeniti nevjernike.
Because Our Lady says that we are capable to change unbelievers,
Ali samo s našom molitvom i samo s našim primjerom.
but only with our prayers and our own example.
Ona traži da u svoje svakodnevne molitve stavimo na prvo mjesto molitve za nevjernike.
Our Lady asks from us to put in our daily prayers in the first place the prayers for unbelievers.
Jer ona kaže kad vi molite za njih, vi molite za vas i za vašu budućnost.
Because Our Lady says, when you pray for them, in fact you pray for yourselves and for your own future.
Osim molitve, ona traži primjer.
Beside prayer, Our Lady is asking our example.
Ona ne traži od nas pritike.
She doesn't ask from us to preach.
Ona ne želi da mi hodamo i pričamo.
She doesn't want us to walk around and to talk.
Ona želi da mi našim životom pričamo.
She would like from us to talk with our own life,
Da nevjernici vide u nama Boga i ljubav Božju.
so that unbelievers can see God and God's love within ourselves.
Ja bih vas zamolila da to shvatite najozbiljnije.
Meaning, I says, I would kindly ask of you to accept this in the most serious way.
Kad biste samo jednom vidjeli suze koje Gospod ima na svom licu radi nevjernika, ja sam sigurna da ste molili sa svim srcem.
Because if you were able just once to see the tears on Our Lady's face because of unbelievers, I'm so certain that you would pray from the bottom of your heart.
Jer ona kaže da je ovo vrijeme odluka.
Because Our Lady says, this time is time of decisions.
I kaže da je na nama koji kažemo da smo djeca Božja velika odgovornost.
And that we who claim to be the children of God have great responsibility.
Kad ona traži molitvu za nevjernika, ona bi željela da je pokušamo na njezin način.
When Our Lady asks from us to pray for unbelievers, she desires that we do it in her way.
A to bi bilo, kako sam ja razumjela, ovako.
And the way I understood it would mean,
A prvo osjetiti ljubav za njih.
first, to feel love for them.
Osjetiti ih kao našu braću i sestre koji nisu bili sretni kao mi da upoznaju ljubav Božju.
To feel them as our own brothers and sisters who were not lucky enough as we were to come to know the love of God.
I tek kad to osjetimo možemo moliti se.
And only once we feel like that, we will be able to pray for them.
Nikada ne suditi, ne kritizirati.
We should never judge or criticize.
Jednostavno voliti ih, moliti za njih
We should simply love them and pray for them.
i dati im svoj primjer.
Or know for them our own example.
Svako od nas ima nevjernika.
Because every one of us has an unbeliever.
Ili u kući, ili blizu kući, ili na poslu.
Maybe in our home, in our neighborhood, at our working place.
I mi bismo se trebali zapitati da li vidi u nama Boga i ljubav Božju.
And we should ask ourselves, can that person see God and God's love within ourselves?
Kad sam rekla da Gospod ne traži da mi pričamo, ja nisam mislila da samo moramo šutiti.
When I said that Our Lady would not like from us to talk, I didn't mean that we should keep quiet all the time.
Prvo bi trebao naš život govoriti.
But first of all, our life should be speaking.
A ako mi molimo, onda ćemo mi shvatiti kad možemo nešto reći.
And if we pray, then we will be able to understand and know when is the right time to say something.
Jer će onda kroz nas Isus govoriti.
Because it will be Jesus who will be speaking through us
A
then.
ako mi ne molimo,
But if we do not pray,
naše su riječi prazne
our words are empty.
i mi činimo suprotno.
And we're doing only opposite.
Ja ću vam dati jedan simpatičan primjer što se meni desilo.
Let me give you a cute example that happened to me.
Vidjeli ste da naša crkva u Medjugorju puna.
You notice that our church in Medjugorje is always packed.
Jednu večer kad sam ja došla u crkvu, htjela sam sjesti jer imam malo problema s leđima.
An evening when I came to the evening mass, I intended to sit because I have a problem with my back.
I vidjela sam malo mjesta u jednoj klubi.
And I noticed there was a little bit of space in one bench.
I ko mene su bili hodočasnici iz Italije.
And around me were pilgrims from Italy.
I ja kad sam sjela, oni su svi počeli pjevati.
When I sat down, they all started shouting at me.
Ustani se, to je naša kluba, mi smo došli prije.
Stand up, that is our bench, we were the first to come. All of them together as one. I stood up and kept quiet.
Onda je došla jedna gospođa koja je bila dio te grupe.
And then a woman who was a member of that group came in the meantime.
Ona me prepoznala.
She recognized me.
Ona im je rekla da sam ja jedna od vidioca.
And she told them that I was one of the visionaries.
Onda su mi nudili čitavu klubu.
After that, they offered me the whole bench. But why am I saying this to you?
Šta mislite da sam ja bila jedna nevjernica koju je Gospod pozvala ovdje u Medjugorje?
Imagine if I were an unbeliever who was invited by Our Lady to come here to Medjugorje.
Po prvi put u životu ulazim u jednu katoličku crkvu.
And who was for the very first time entering into a Catholic church.
A unutra su oni koji kažu da poznaju ljubav Božju.
And inside are those who claim to know the love of God.
A mene čekaju na taj način.
And they welcome me in such a way.
Da li bih ja još ikad ušla u katoličku crkvu?
Would I ever enter into that Catholic church?
I čija bi to bila odgovornost?
And whose responsibility would that be?
To je ono što nam Gospod želi.
Well, that is what Our Lady desires from us.
Da budemo primjer.
To be an example.
Da se vidi u nama, u našem životu, a ne u našim riječima.
So that it can be seen in us, in our own life, and not in our words.
Jer svako od nas može naučiti lijepo govoriti.
Because every one of us can learn to speak nicely.
A Gospod želi da život priča.
But Our Lady desires that our life speaks.
Ovim ukazanjima u Medjugorje, ona je svakom od nas 6 vidioca dala jednu misiju.
In these apparitions in Medjugorje, Our Lady gave to every one of us visionaries a mission to pray for.
Moja misija je molitva za nevjernike.
My mission is to pray for unbelievers.
Vicka i Jakov mole za bolesne.
Vitska and Yaakov pray for the sick.
Ivan moli za mlade i za svećenike.
Ivan for the youth and for the priests.
Marija za duše u čistilištu.
Maria for souls in purgatory.
I Ivanka za obitelj.
And Ivanka for families.
Ali najvažnija Gospina poruka koju ona često ponavlja je sveta misa.
But Our Lady's most important message that she constantly repeats is the Holy Mass.
Ali ne samo na nedjelju.
But not only on Sunday.
Kad smo mi bili djeca na početku kazanja, ona nam je rekla:
When we were children, at the beginning of the apparitions, Our Lady said to us,
ako trebate da birate između viđenja mene i svete mise, uvijek izaberite svetu misu.
if you have to choose between seeing me in the apparition or attending the Holy Mass, you should always choose to attend the Holy Mass.
Jer za vrijeme svete mise, moj sin je s vama.
Because during the Holy Mass, my son is with you.
U svim ovim godinama ukazanja, Gospa nikad nije rekla molite i ja ću vam dati.
In all these years of the apparitions, Our Lady never said, pray and I will give you.
Ona uvijek kaže molite da mogu moliti svoga sina za vas.
She always says, pray so that I can pray to my son for you.
Uvijek je Isus na prvom mjestu.
Jesus is always in the first place.
Mnogi hodočasnici kad dođu u Medjugorje misle da su mi vidioci privilegirani.
Many of pilgrims, when they come to Medjugorje, they believe that we visionaries are privileged.
Da je dosta reći nama jer nas Bog sluša više nego ostale.
They think it's enough to say to us because God accepts our prayers better than the prayers of other people.
A takvo razmišljanje je pogrešno razmišljanje.
But that way of thinking is wrong.
Jer za Gospu kao za majku nema privilegovanja.
Because when it comes to Our Lady as mother, she simply doesn't have privileged children.
Mi smo svi za nju samo njena djeca koja ona bira za različite misije.
For her, we're all just her children that she has been choosing for different missions.
Nas 6 da preko nas da poruke.
She chose 6 of us in order to give the messages.
Ali izabrala svi u vas.
But she chose every one of you.
Jer ona je rekla u poruci koju je dala jednom 2. januara gdje se baš vama obraća.
Because in one of her messages on January the 2nd, Our Lady said words in which she's directly addressing you.
Ona je rekla, draga djeco, ja sam vas pozvala.
She said, my dear children, I invited you.
Otvorite svoje srce, pustite mi da uđem.
Open your heart, allow me to enter.
Da mogu napraviti svoje apostole od vas.
To be able to make you become my apostles.
Znači, svi imamo istu važnost za našu nebesku majku.
It means that we all have the same importance for our mother.
Nema onih koje Bog sluša više ili koji sluša manje.
There are no those who God listens to more or less.
Mi smo svi samo njegova djeca na zemlji.
We're all just his children on earth.
Ja sam to naučila na samom početku ukazanja.
I learned that at the very beginning of the apparitions.
Jer možda ste primijetili da ja kažem moji ujaci, moja baka.
Maybe you noticed that I mentioned my uncles, my grandma.
Jer ja sam jedina od nas 6 vidioca koja nije rođena i odrasla u Medjugorju.
Because I'm the only one out of 6 visionaries who was not born and who did not grow up here in Medjugorje.
Moji su roditelji odavde.
My parents are from here.
Ali kad su se vjenčali, otišli su živjeti u Sarajevo.
But after they got married, they went to live in Sarajevo.
Tako da sam ja odrasla s njima.
So I grew up with them.
Ali ovdje sam dorasla uvijek jer ovdje bi bila sva obitelj.
But I was coming here constantly because my entire family was here.
I kad su počeli ukazanje, komunisti su htjeli da se razrušiti sve.
Because when apparition started, communists wanted to destroy everything.
I oni su me vratili u Sarajevo.
And they brought me back to Sarajevo.
Ja nisam željela.
I didn't want it.
Jer ovdje je bila mnogo drugačija situacija.
Because here situation was much different.
Ovdje su bili njih 5 zajedno.
5 of them were here together.
Onda ovdje su svi bili Hrvati.
And then everybody here is Croatian.
I policija.
Even police.
A to su Hrvati su katolici.
And Croats are Catholics.
A u Sarajevu muslimani i komunisti.
And in Sarajevo, Muslims and communists.
I ja sama s mojim roditeljima i bratom.
And I was alone with my parents and my brother.
Niko nam nije smio doći.
Nobody was allowed to come to us.
Mi nismo smjeli ići nigdje.
We were not allowed to go anywhere.
Svako jutro dolazila policija, razrušila sve u kući i mene vodila sa sobom.
Every single morning police would come to our home, turn everything upside down, and they would take me with them.
Ja sam imala samo 15 godina.
And I was only 15.
A to nije kao u Americi, hoću socijalnog radnika i odvjetnika.
But that is not like in America when you can say, I want my social worker, my attorney, my something. I was alone with them.
I ja sam, vi ne znate kakve su komunistička ispitivanja.
You have no idea what communist interrogations are like.
I ja sam mislila, meni će Gospa pomoći.
And I thought, Our Lady will help me.
Međutim, ja kad bih imala ukazanje, ona bi mi rekla iste stvari kao i njima ovdje.
However, when I would receive apparition, Our Lady would tell me exactly the same words as she would say to them here.
Ništa o meni i o mojoj situaciji.
Nothing about me and my situation.
Ja ne moram vam reći reći kako sam se osjećala sama i ostavljena.
I don't even have to tell you how abandoned and left alone I felt.
Ali poslije nekog vremena sam shvatila.
But after some time I understood.
Za Boga nema privilegovanih.
For God, there are no privileged ones.
Ako ti je teško, ako imaš križ,
If you're facing hard time, you have a cross,
uzmi krunicu i moli.
take the rosary and pray.
I Bog će biti uz tebe.
And God will be with you.
Kad sam to shvatila, bilo mi je lakše.
When I understood that, it was easier.
Onda sam vidjela i ovdje u Medjugorju mnogo puta poslije ukazanja.
And then here in Medjugorje, many times after the apparition, I was able to see
Ljudi koji dolaze da mi kažu da su ozdravili ili da su upoznali ljubav Božju.
to see people who would come to me saying that they were healed or they felt the love of God.
A ja mnogi od tih ljudi nisam uopće znala.
But many of those people I didn't even know.
Ja nisam pitala za njih.
And I did not ask for them.
Oni su imali srce otvoreno.
But they had an open heart.
I oni su pitali nebesku majku da pita svoga sina za njih.
And they asked Heavenly Mother to ask her Son for them.
Ja vam to govorim da bih vam rekla kad trebate majku, ne trebate vidioce.
I'm saying this in order to explain to you that when you need Mother, you do not need visionaries.
Vi trebate samo otvoreno srce.
You just need an open heart.
Jer Gospod uvijek kaže otvorite svoje srce, ja ću biti s vama.
Because Our Lady always repeats, open your heart and I will be with you.
Znači zavisi samo od nas koliko želimo da je nebeska majka s nama.
So it all just depends on us how much we truly desire our Mother to be with us.
Ako je iko privilegiran za našu nebesku majku,
If anybody is privileged for our Heavenly Mother,
ako gledate poruke svakog drugog u mjesecu,
if you refer to Our Lady's every second of the month apparitions messages,
vidjet ćete da su to svećenici.
you will notice that we can speak about priests.
Jer ona nikada ne kaže šta oni trebaju učiniti.
Because Our Lady never said what they should do.
Ona uvijek govori šta mi trebamo učiniti za njih.
But she always talks about what we should do for them.
Ona kaže oni ne trebaju vašega suda i kritike.
She says, they don't need you to judge and criticize them.
Oni trebaju vaše molitve i ljubavi.
They need your love and your prayers.
Jer Bog će suditi njih kakvi su bili kao svećenici.
Because God will judge them the way they were as priests.
Ali će suditi vas kakav je bio vaš odnos prema svećenicima.
But God will judge you the way you treated your priests.
Ona je rekla, ako izgubite poštovanje prema svećenicima,
Our Lady said, if you lose respect for your priest,
izgubit ćete prema crkvi i na kraju prema dragom Bogu.
you will lose it for church and at the end for dear God as well.
Isto tako za vrijeme ukazanja svakog drugog u mjesecu,
The same way during the every second of the month apparitions,
kad nam daje blagoslov, ona uvijek kaže,
when she gives us her blessing, Our Lady always says,
ja vam dajem moj majčinski blagoslov.
I'm giving you my motherly blessing.
Ali najveći blagoslov koji možete dobiti na zemlji je onaj od svećenika.
But the greatest blessing that you can receive on earth is the blessing coming from your priest.
To vas moj sin blagoslov.
When they bless you, it is my Son himself blessing you.
Isto tako je rekla, ne zaboravite moliti za svoje pastire.
She also said, do not forget to pray for your shepherds.
Kod njih su ruke blagoslovljene od moga sina.
Their priestly hands are blessed by my Son.
Zato vas molim, kad se vratite u svoje župe,
That is why I'm kindly asking of you, when you go back to your parishes,
pokažite kakav treba biti naš odnos prema svećenicima.
show to others what our respect, or our attitude towards our priest should be.
Ako vaš svećenik ne čini kako vi mislite da bi trebalo,
And if your priest is not doing the way you think he should do,
nemoj ići okolo i suditi ga.
do not walk around judging him.
Uzmi krunicu, moli Boga za njega.
Take the rosary and pray to dear God for him.
To je način da mu pomogneš,
Because that will be the way to help him,
a ne sud.
and not through judging.
Jer u ovom svijetu u kojem mi živimo ima toliko puno suda,
Because in this world that we're living in, there's people judge so much,
a ima tako malo ljubavi.
and there is so little of love.
A Gospa želi da smo prepoznati po ljubavi,
And Our Lady desires that we may be recognized through love,
a ne da uzmemo u svoje ruke ono što samo dragi Bog može.
and not to take in our hands what only dear God is supposed to do.
Samo On može suditi.
Only He may judge.
Meni je žao što vam ne mogu više reći o svemu tome zašto nas Gospa priprema sve ove godine.
I am sorry that I cannot share with you more about what Our Lady has been preparing us for all these years,
Ali vam mogu reći jednu stvar.
but I may tell you one thing.
Imamo ovo vrijeme, naše vrijeme koje mi sad živimo.
We have this time, our time that we are living in,
I imamo vrijeme triumfa Gospinog srca.
and we have the time of the triumph of Our Lady's heart.
A između ta dva vremena i most.
Between these two times we have a bridge,
A taj most su naši svećenici.
and that bridge are our priests.
I zato Gospa posebno u zadnje vrijeme inzistira na molitvi za njih.
That is why, especially recently, Our Lady insists that we pray for them.
Jer taj most bi trebao biti čvrst da ga možemo svi preći.
Because that bridge has to be strong enough for every one of us to be able to cross it over.
Jer Gospa kaže sa svećenicima ću triumfirati. triumfirati.
Because Our Lady says, alongside priest, I will triumph.
Znači, bez naših svećenika nema ni triumfa Gospinog srca.
It means that without our priest, there's not even the triumph of Our Lady's heart.
Ona traži da vratimo molitvu obitelji.
Our Lady asks us to pray in our families.
Ona kaže da ništa ne može ujediniti obitelji kao zajednička molitva.
Our Lady says, there is nothing that can unite the family like when you pray together.
I kaže da je velika odgovornost koju roditelji imaju ispred svoje djece.
And Our Lady says, parents have great responsibility in front of their children.
Jer oni su ti koji trebaju staviti korijene vjere u svoje djece.
Because parents are those who are supposed to put the seeds of faith in their children.
Jer djeca čine samo ono što vide u kući.
Because children do only what they see in their home.
Mi ne možemo govoriti našoj djeci o važnosti svete mise ako ne vide da je za nas na prvo mjesto.
We cannot talk to our children about the importance of the Holy Mass if they don't see that the Holy Mass is in the first place for us.
Ne možemo im govoriti o važnosti molitve ako ne vide nas da molimo.
We cannot talk to them about the importance of prayer if they don't see us praying.
Ja uvijek kažem jedan simpatičan primjer iz moje obitelji.
I always give a cute example from my own family.
Kad je moja starija kćerka Marija imala samo 2 godine, ja joj nisam govorila o kazanjima.
When my older daughter Maria was only 2 years old, I did not speak to her about apparitions.
Mislila sam malena i ne može to shvatiti.
I thought she was too little, she can't understand that.
Ali jedan dan dok se igrala s prijateljicom u sobi, ja sam je kontrolirala.
But one day while she was playing with her friend in the room, I was watching over.
I čuo sam da ova druga malecka kaže, ma mama vozi auto.
But then I heard this other girl saying to my daughter, you know, my mom drives a car.
I kako ja ne vozim, Marija je šutila koju sekundu.
And as I do not drive car, Maria remained quiet for a moment.
Onda je rekla, pa šta ti je to, moja priča s Gospom svaki dan.
And then she replied and said, a big deal. My mom talks to Our Lady every day. So without even saying a word, she understood.
Jer vidjela što se dešava u kući.
Because she was able to see what was happening in our home.
Zato je važno da djeca vide da je za mamu i tatu Bog na prvo mjesto, to se sve ostane.
That is why it is important that children may see that for their father and mother, God is in the first place, and then everything else.
Gospod traži da postimo srijedi petak u kruhu i vodi.
Our Lady asks from us to fast on Wednesdays and Fridays on bread and water.
A meni je to nekako dođem uvijek da se smijem kad govorim o toj Gospodnoj postici.
It always brings me to laugh when I speak about this message of Our Lady.
Na primjer, da bi se opravdala.
In order to justify myself,
Ja sam na jedan način odrasla s Gospom.
in a certain way, I grew up with Our Lady.
Kad odrasteš s njom, ne gledaš ovaj svijet na isti način.
And when you grow up with her, you don't look at this world in the same way.
Na primjer, za mene ne postoje nacije.
For example, for me, there are no nations.
Na primjer, kad neko kaže, ja sam Amerikanac.
For example, when someone probably says, I'm an American.
Ja se smijem sebi.
I love,
Ja znam koliko je to ispred Boga, uopće nije važno.
I know how meaningless that is in the eyes of God.
Jer za njega postoje samo njegova djeca na zemlji.
Because for him, only his children on earth exist.
Jer kad se jedan dan nađemo pred njima, neće pitati da li sam ja bila dobra kao Hrvatica, da li ste vi dobri kao Amerikanci.
Because one day when we face God, he will not ask me if I was good as a Croatian or you as American.
On će pitati koliko smo ljubavi imali.
He will ask how much love did we have.
Meni je simpatično ovdje vidjeti u Medjugorju kako svaka nacija reagira na poruku o postu.
But it is so interesting still to see, how different nations react to the same message, let's say, about the message of fasting.
Na primjer, Amerikancima je tipično pitanje.
For example, there is very typical American question.
Možemo li bar kavu ujutru popiti?
Can we have at least coffee in the morning? And I say, yeah, why not?
Ali vrlo rano, prije nego što se Gospa ustane i vidi vas.
But make sure you do it early enough before Our Lady wakes up to see you. Well, this would be a typical American question. But Italian,
oni su, njima ova poruka Gospra nikako ne leži.
they simply can't accept this message of Our Lady.
Jer oni imaju poslije milijun pitanja.
Because after that they have a million questions.
Koliko traje srijeda i petak?
How long is Friday or Wednesday? As if I may shorten it or do something about it. Can we have just white pasta? Can we have a bread with olive oil? One day a professional athlete told me,
Ja mislim da ti nisi razumjela dobro.
I think you did not understand well.
Mislim da je Gospod tebi posluša, ne svima nama.
I think Our Lady asked of you to fast, not all of us.
Ako vi niste nikada postali 2 dana u tjednu.
But if you never fasted twice a week so far,
Ako niste nikada rekli čitavu krunicu svaki dan.
if you never prayed entire rosary every day so far,
Ja bih vam preporučila da pokušate onako kako je Gospa s nama činila.
I would like to recommend you to do the way Our Lady did with us.
Ona prvu stvar što je tražila